Welcome to English with Abby and Dore. I'm Abby, and today we will talk about three pairs of words that are commonly confused. And we will talk about when to use them. I'll give examples of when to use them, and then some common mistakes that are made as well, and then some examples of how to use them in everyday conversation. And these three pairs of words are for all different levels. And so, whatever level of English you speak, this video is for you because we have our first pair, which is good for beginners to understand the difference. And then we have another pair, which is good for intermediate level learners of English. And then our final pair, which is good for advanced learners of English. And so the first pair is a versus an. A and an are both articles. Articles are used before nouns. Another article is the, but a or an are the most confusing articles because you use them in specific circumstances depending on what sound the noun starts with. And so a is used when a noun starts with a consonant sound, starts with a consonant sound. So for example, a dog, D is a consonant sound, and so it starts with A. Some other examples would be a car or a tree or a hamburger, starting with the letter H. H is a consonant. And so if a noun starts with a consonant, then it has that A word at the beginning. It uses the A article. You use an for words or nouns that have a vowel sound at the beginning, a vowel sound. And so this example, an apple, I would like to eat an apple. We use an, the article an, with nouns that start with a vowel sound. And I say sound specifically because there is an example of a word that starts with a consonant but would use the an. And it is this word, an hour, an hour. This word starts with a consonant, but it has that vowel sound because the H is silent. So an hour. So we don't just go by when a word starts with a consonant or a vowel, but it has to have that consonant sound for a or the vowel sound for an apple. I have an hour before I have to leave. Another example, an ocean. I saw an ocean on the way home, or I would like to eat an egg. I would like to eat an egg. And one final thought on the articles a and an. We only use a or an when the noun is singular, meaning it's only one. And so if it were plural, if you said dogs, we would not say a dogs, just dogs. Then we don't use the article if it is plural. We don't use any article if it is plural. And the next pair of words is much or many. And this is more of an intermediate skill in English to understand the difference between much or many. So we use much when we are talking about a noun. Again, a noun. A noun is a person, place, thing, or idea. We use the word much when we have a noun that cannot be counted. That cannot be counted. So much time. Time is a concept that cannot be counted. Another example of something that could not be counted would be this word, hope. We would say much hope. Hope is an idea. It is not something that can be counted. You can't count it out. So we use much for things that cannot be counted. And then we use many for things that can be counted, that you can count. So, for example, many days. You can count the days, 7 days, 8 days, 9 days. Another example of when you would use many, giving up here, we could say many apples, because apples can be counted. You can count how many apples. Another thing would be many people, even something like many ideas, because you could count each idea, however many ideas you have. So much is used for things that cannot be counted, and many is used for things that can be counted. And then the final, more advanced concept of these two words, which I guarantee you almost no native English speakers know the difference between these two words either. And if they do, they never use them correctly. It is the difference between less and fewer. And the difference between less and fewer is the same as much or many. And so less is similar to much, where it can be used with things that cannot be counted. For example, less effort. Less effort. You cannot count how much effort you put into something. So less effort, or again, similar to hope, we could say joy, or less time. And those are things that cannot be counted. And then fewer is used with things that can be counted. And I want to note the difference between time and hours, because technically they are the same thing, but you can count hours just like you can count days. Hours can be counted, but time cannot be counted. Much time. Hours can be counted, the same as minutes can be counted, the same as seconds or nanoseconds, but time itself cannot be counted. So we have fewer hours, fewer used with things that can be counted. Fewer hours, fewer days, fewer apples, fewer dogs, fewer cats, things that you can count. And less is used with things you cannot count. So I hope this was helpful for you, no matter what level of English you are at.